What's going on, guys? We're now live here, week 14 live stream here. One of the biggest weeks of the fantasy football year because, it's make or break right now. It's make or break for a lot of you guys. Here to take on start, sit questions. I got my monitor switched up, so hopefully I can answer you guys a lot better. A big week this week. Clyde Edwards-Helaire Jerick McKinnon debate. Let's just answer that front and center. I don't trust Andy Reid. I don't trust the Chiefs. I don't trust this backfield. And honestly, roll with your gut on that one. I think if you just want to go off the information we don't trust, it's Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And a lot of people are ranking that way, and that's what the market's saying. I looked up Sleeper, and more people are starting Clyde Edwards-Helaire over Jerick McKinnon just by a little bit. It's like 19% rate of Clyde Edwards-Helaire being started. And if I remember right, Jerick McKinnon's like 14%. So actually the gap's pretty closer than what you would think considering what we've been dealing with. But feel free, hit that like button, ask whatever questions you got for your lineups in. We're letting this fill up. Good luck to you guys this week. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, because we're going deep on the Dynasty Fantasy Football content this offseason. We're going to help you with your drafts. And then in the offseason, right before your drafts, I go heavy just dropping knowledge, advanced metrics on these players so you can make the best decisions with your drafts going forward. But this is a big week in fantasy right now. There's a lot going on here. Chris Olave is playing sick. We don't know much about that. He's a head scratcher because honestly, you don't know if he's going to be in and out or if he's just going to be out there with a Michael Jordan flu game going off. And when you look at the start sits with that, you're just going to have to roll with it. And we got our first question in today. Romeo Doubs or Clyde Edwards-Helaire rest of season? That's a good question. Really depends on how you are a wide receiver. If Doubs is like your wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5, and if you look at the waiver wire and you got replacements there, then maybe you take on that risk with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, knowing that we do not trust the Chiefs. If he is dependable for you, and you know what, you may have to just go with Doubs. I think when you look at this in a vacuum, player for player, the safer option's Doubs. However, strategic standpoint with that is if you're good at wide receiver and the waiver wire is kind of all right with wide receiver where you can play the matchups, then I would lean with Clyde Edwards-Helaire and take that gamble for the rest of the season, because you know what? You can get 80 to 90% of that production back off the waiver wire for Doubs, where it's harder at the running back position for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But if it's the opposite, then I would do the opposite. That's how I would play it, and that's how I would look at that. But thank you for watching. Thank you for the question. Thank you for everything. Will World, I have Cowboys defense sit or start this week. Available defenses: Chargers, Bucks, Raiders, Lions. Let me double check the rankings here for you, sir. I think that's a great question. Let's take a look at that. And you're welcome. Alcoholics Fishing. So let's take a look at here. So we got the Cowboys. They're ranked 12. They got Philly. That is going to be a high-scoring game. Now, Vegas is saying it would. They had the over-under in the high 50s. And the Cowboys are going to push the game script by being able to pass the ball because Eagles are one of the tops or allows the most in the league or one of the highest in the league, allowing fantasy points to wide receivers. We know what's going to happen in this game script. And then your other one is Chargers, Bucks, Raiders. So Chargers, Bucks. Raiders, Chargers. My gut's rolling with Lions, and it's a push between Lions and Chargers with that Denver game. The Lions are on the road, but you got Chicago. You got Raiders against Minnesota. In that matchup, you're hoping Dobbs stinks it up. And you got Buccaneers against Atlanta, which could be a lower scoring game. And if Atlanta can't push the ball downfield, you know what? It's a toss-up between all these teams. I think the Buccaneers could be a sneaky play here because they're a little bit tougher against the run. Atlanta's going to have to throw the ball. And if they're not pushing it downfield, Bucks could sneak something. It's a toss-up between the Bucks and the Lions in my head. The Lions are a little bit stingier. I think the Lions to be safe. Buccaneers, if you want to shoot for the moon here. When I look at 4-for-4 ranks here, they got them ranked Lions, Chargers, Raiders, Bucks. But they're tight in the projection totals for the scoring outcomes. I would go Lions as a safe start, Buccaneers to shoot for the fence. And the reason why is because of that game script. And I just see there's a good chance and probabilities there that Ritter has hard times just trying to push it downfield, and that could lend in the hands of how the game scripts usually roll for the Bucs defense. Yeah, Clyde Edwards-Helaire McKinnon. So that is the question of the week. And the thing about Clyde Edwards-Helaire McKinnon is we do not trust the Chiefs. We do not trust Andy Reid. We do not trust. I mean, it could be a split backfield with this. It could be Clyde Edwards-Helaire getting the work. It could be McKinnon getting most of the work, but Clyde Edwards-Helaire gets that goal line work that allows him to be productive. And the thing is, I would flip a coin on that. And McKinnon hit last year, and then Clyde Edwards-Helaire had his moments throughout his career where he hits. Right now, if you want to go off the news that we don't trust, it sounds like Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to start off the game as the starter. For what that means, he could be sharing the backfield. That being said, if I had to pick one and you had to put a gun to my head, I would go Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but honestly, roll with your gut. If you're feeling McKinnon on this one, then go ahead and roll with it. No one's going to have the exact answers, and if everyone's saying the exact answers, they're really just guessing for that. And I did a video on it yesterday. We went over Andy Reid talking in the press conference, talking about Clyde Edwards-Helaire, talking about ETN, not ETN, but McKinnon, and saying that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to be the starter. He's going to be the first one receiving reps, but the reliability rating for him isn't good in press conferences, so it might just be Clyde Edwards-Helaire getting the starts. And if you start Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you're just hoping that he runs hot in that first series or two, and they keep him out there. So that's probably why I would go CEH over McKinnon, but I'm not 100% confident in either. So that's really where I'm at on that. Ronald Purdue, Mostert or ETN. I feel safer with Mostert. I feel safer, and that's a hard one because I like them both. I'm going to go off the rankings here. I think 4-for-4 is going to have – it's going to agree with me. Mostert at 19. Ranked Travis. They pulled him out. There he is. It just wants – yeah, it's a push-ish in the scenario. I feel a little bit safer with Mostert. I feel a little bit safer. But if you want to go ETN, you can. I feel a little bit safer with Mostert, just knowing that he's going in clean into this matchup. It's not really the perfect matchup for him, but the Dolphins can really push the game script. You're welcome, Will World. Robertson, what about Nico with the weather? Think of starting opportunities here with Tank Dell out. Noah Brown's been dealing with that knee issue. We know the volume's going to be there. You could chase that, but we're also getting a lot of rain in that matchup as well, and a lot of volatility when we're looking at that. And that's a tough Jets defense. That could really slow things down for CJ Stroud. He might score you enough to get you by anyways, and it's going to be a tougher one. And when we look at Courtland Sutton, he has his upside weeks, and that's the thing about him. And he gets air yards. He's fairly consistent. He's ranked wide receiver 20 this week on 4-for-4, right behind Nico, and pretty much same projections. And he's got the Chargers on the road, and you can throw on the Chargers, and that's a matchup that's a little safer. The weather's a little safer, and pretty much looking at the market here, they're saying, hey, we don't disagree with you too much. We're in line with you. We're looking at this as a push, and we're scratching our heads with you too. So if you want to go with Courtland Sutton, and that's what your gut's saying, I think that's going to be all right. Sutton or Laporta? That's a good question. Let me double check here real quick. I like them both. Sutton 70, Laporta 85. 85, 10.7 versus 11.4. Laporta's got the Bears. I feel a little bit safer with Sutton. I feel like it's more of a coin flip. If you feel like Laporta, go with it because I like Laporta a lot, especially at the tight end position. I feel a shade safer with Sutton due to the matchup, due to the scenario, due to the air yards and the consistency. But Laporta's also been fairly consistent. Looking at the rankings at other sites, they're feeling the same way, judging the market there. And looks like I'm not getting a ton of questions. Let me double check the start ratings on Sleeper. That's another tool I like to do. Is I'll go to Sleeper, I'll look at the percentage start, and that might break because that's like the market. It's like saying, hey, when you do your investments, just play the S&P 500, and the market's going to outplay it. That's kind of how it kind of is by looking at that, but people will tell you, like, you do not want to follow the herd and be a sheep, but on the other hand, 58% on Sutton, and then who was the other guy? Laporta, who's going to have a higher start rate due to the position. So that's a really hard thing to do that now that I went through my head. So I looked at that as a push in the flex, really. And do you not have a tight end spot? Because if I had, you must be stacked at tight end if you're looking at that at flex. But Sutton for safe. Laporta, if your gut's rolling with it. Scott Drummond, thank you for the super chat here. We got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Keaton Mitchell, Puka Nacua, Zay Flowers, pick 2. All right, I'm going to deep dive this one for you. Thank you for the super chat. Let's look into this one. Let's see here. Puka at 24. Let's go overall here. Puka's at wide receiver 24 here. Yeah, Reed as well. Okay. So Puka at 80. Got Puka, Flowers at 78. So you got one here to go with. So not 100% trusting the Chiefs here and rolling a dice with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, even though this could be a matchup where he hits in this matchup, and it's a good matchup. We got Mitchell here, upside play against the Rams. That not the greatest matchup, but also a matchup where you can really see fantasy scoring hit, but also you do not know the touch distribution. He is listed as the top back on depth chart for whatever that's worth. I mean, other running backs have been listed as top running back on depth chart, and they've been splitting it all year long. Puka Nacua, Zay Flowers, Jaden Reed, they're all ranked in similar spots here. So if I had to pick 2, I feel like going one running back, one wide receiver here. And Puka keeps going to my gut at 80. Flowers at Baltimore. I definitely do not want. And then Puka Nacua would be a run back piece if you did Keaton Mitchell. I like Jaden Reed against the Giants. I think that's a great matchup for him. I really like Jaden Reed when I look at that. I like Jaden Reed. Yeah, the weather too, the matchup, the slower game pace. Same maybe with Keaton Mitchell. Jaden Reed, where's Reed at? Similar weather there with the Giants. And then Flowers. Baltimore. Tough one here. I would roll one of those running backs, and I feel a little safer with Clyde Edwards-Helaire due to the matchup. Not knowing if I want to swing for the fence, I'd go with Keaton Mitchell. I like the Giants game script there for the Packers. I just like that, and I feel safe with Jordan Reed. I feel safe with that. Analyzing what I'm seeing here, I feel safe with that. I feel very safe. Like I just like that matchup with the Giants. Like you know what you're getting out of that Giants team. That's what I feel like. I feel like because let's look at the stats here. I'll let this other questions roll in here, and we can roll through those. And very consistent. Oh, that's a joke. He's been very consistent, and this is one of those matchups where it could just lend his way, and may not be in a big way, but just look at the scoring. He had a low week last week against the Chiefs, 15 points against Detroit, 19 against the Chargers, 19 against Pittsburgh, then against Rams against 7. He's very safe and consistent. No injury designation for Monday. Reed chest, does not carry an injury designate into Monday's contest against the Giants, and it's a chest, so it's not like it's a ligament issue or anything like that. Reed was limited to participate. I feel Reed, one of the running backs. You can take your pick on one of the running backs. I kind of safer with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think Keaton Mitchell's a home run threat on any situation there. They got him listed as the primary back on the depth chart, but you know how that's been with the Ravens. I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Reed, it'd probably be your safest bet. If you want to go Reed and Puka Nacua and just chase those targets and hope that target share lends with Nacua, but again, the weather, the defense, the thing with that. So I got a couple options: Reed, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Puka, Reed, or swing of fence with Keaton Mitchell, Reed. I feel Reed and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and if my gut's not 100% in on Clyde Edwards-Helaire, not 100% in with Puka. So that Puka or Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I think I'd be pushing that button on Clyde Edwards-Helaire just to feel a little safer due to that matchup. If it wasn't for that Bills matchup, I probably would be going Puka. But it'd be CH and Reed, unless someone wants to swing for the fences with Keaton Mitchell. But Reed for sure. I like that Giants matchup. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you, guys. Moving on to the next questions here. Morning, Yo Soy Tony 617. Aaron Jones, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, or Downs can possibly pick up Wicks if Jones doesn't go. Clyde Edwards-Helaire to play it safe. Downs to shoot for upside. I do kind of like Downs this week. He's been on the downs, no pun intended, these last 4 weeks. But I feel like this could be a game script that could be kind of favorable for him, considering he gets the lower ADOT. However, you really don't know. And you could pick up Wicks. I would look at him as more of like a long-term play if Jones ain't able to go. But I feel safer with CH over Jones, and the CH is probably going to get a decent amount of touches. I don't feel good about him. Also, same with Downs, but I feel like he's going to have an okay week at least. I feel like he's in the spot to bounce back, especially 4 weeks down. I think this matchup could lend to him, but I feel like Clyde Edwards-Helaire is a little safer. So I would go Clyde Edwards-Helaire to feel a little bit safer, considering he's going to be getting those running back touches. We got that Bills matchup that could push the game script. And then Downs for a little bit of upside. And I'm kind of playing it safe against Aaron Jones. Thank you for the question, though. Brandon Girardi, is Zay still a start with the bad weather? We're talking Zay Jones, Zay Flowers. We're talking about Zay Flowers. Really depends on what we're looking at here. I would say confident. Not as confident of a start, but you know what? You may have to roll with it due to the targets, depending on what else you got. I don't think he's ever really been a must start. I mean, he had 23 fantasy points against the Chargers, but outside of that, it's been up and down. And around wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 range. Really depends on where the game script goes, and really depends on what else you got there. If you're talking about Zay Jones, which I don't think you are, because he's not a must start due to that situation, then honestly, it really depends on how that game script goes, because it's a nasty game script. He should be seeing about 80 to 90% of the snaps, seeing a lot of routes, should be getting some opportunity. Ferguson or Kincaid, this is from Ronald Purdue. So let me double check the rankings on here. I think that's a good question. And when it comes to tight ends, you kind of got to roll with your gut on that, honestly, when it comes to tight ends. Ferguson's been kind of safe, and he's got a good matchup here. That's what I like. And 444 saying the same thing here. But they got Kincaid and them next to next was similar. I feel a little safer with Jake Ferguson, and I've probably been saying this, but he gets a lot of red zone opportunities. He's in a matchup where Dallas is going to be throwing the ball. It's a pass funnel matchup where you want to throw on Philly a little bit more. They allow a lot of fantasy points through the air, and the opposite towards running backs. I think Kincaid's in a good matchup as well. Both these running backs you're going to have to just pick your poison with. But if it was me, I'd pick Jake Ferguson. I feel a shade safer with him, considering how Dak likes to target him around the red zone. Uncle Leo, hey, what's up? Thank you for the question. Kenneth Walker or Clyde Edwards-Helaire or McKinnon as my RB2. So with Clyde Edwards-Helaire and McKinnon, you're pretty much, if you're looking at straight up results, you're probably going to have to pick your poison with that between those two. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is kind of safer due to what we heard in the news that he's going to be the starter, but it's also like news that you don't trust. Kenneth Walker, I want to check his injury designation and everything. I know he's been practicing and everything's been looking good, but I want to see the final word. Expected to play. And then we're looking at this matchup here, San Francisco. So it's a down matchup here. Charbonnet is expected to play. So they're both expected to play. Charbonnet had some swelling earlier this week, so that's makes me want to hold off a little bit on him a little bit. But let's see here. Walker, we got him RB25. Clyde RB26, so you got him neck and neck. So you got Kenneth Walker with a bad matchup, Clyde Edwards-Helaire with a good matchup. And you do not know what his touch distribution is going to look like. And projections, they got Kenneth Walker a little bit higher. I feel if I want to play it safe, I go with Kenneth Walker. If I'm really not trusting it, my gut's rumbling, and I want to shoot for the moon, I'd go with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That's what I would do. But if I want to play it safe, if I want to put in my lineup, if I'm not hurting from Thursday, if I'm okay and my lineup's good and I want to play a little safe, I'll go Kenneth Walker. If I'm down a little bit, I'd go with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That's what I would do. I would if I was in multiple leagues and I had this choice in every league for sure. Kenneth Walker, I'd roll if my lineup's straight up, no one's injured. I'm playing against a team I know I could beat. I don't want to take that gamble. I'd throw in Kenneth Walker. If I'm hurting from Thursday and I got a tough matchup, then I'm rolling with that upside against Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I'm sorry it's not point blank, but again, it's strategy. This is how really the game's played. And if I was just giving you guy for guy, good versus bad on the players, just straight up, I'd honestly just be lying the whole time to you guys. Let's see here. So Kenneth Walker, we got Scott Drummond. So you're welcome, Scott Drummond. That's what you got plugged in. So Brandon Cooks or Amari Cooper in PPR. You know what? My gut is just said when I read that off. There's some of these questions that come to your head. They do not register throughout the week like these scenarios. Like, let me look at these ranks. My gut went to Cooks. My gut immediately went to Cooks. Like, that's just something that never. You know what? 4 agrees with me. Yeah, Brandon Cooks. Yeah, my gut went to Cooks. And I like the Philly matchup. My gut went to Cooks and instantly. 4 for 4 agrees with me, and they're more conservative. I'm more risky. So I feel like the mix of them and me, I think that's a good matchup. And if we're both on the same page, I think that's good. I think that's a smart idea. And Cooks has been firing lately. Thank you guys for the comments. Please help by hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button. Let's keep this going, though. Jake B, Standard League, Ford or Keaton Mitchell. Ford if you want to play it safe. Keaton Mitchell if you want to shoot for the fences. And I know you're thinking about shooting for the fences, so if you want to roll with it, roll with it. I'm going to look at 4 for 4 for you. You got Ford at 22 against Jacksonville. Keaton's not too far off. If I want to play it safe, I'm going Jerome Ford, and I feel good that he'll score enough to get me by. However, if I have room to take that gamble and know I'm going to swing and strike out, but I know that if I swing and I connect here, that it's going to be a big win for me, that I'm going to get a ton of points and it's going to be up and down, then I'm going Keaton Mitchell. And that's really depending on how you want to play that. If it was me In my lineup straight up, I'm good from Thursday. No one's killing me. My roster's good. The other team did not go off on from the Thursday night game, and I'm not rolling into this week with tons of injuries. And I'm playing against a team that I feel confident about. I feel okay in fantasy. I'd roll Jerome Ford. If I'm having any questions about the Thursday night matchups, my lineups, the injuries, or anything, I'm going Keaton Mitchell. And that's how I would do it. It's strategy with some of these lineup situations, not point blank, tit for tat on that. Mingo or Olave being sick. The thing about Olave being sick is you do not know how sick, and it's a medical thing, kind of. It's a sickness thing. You do not know if he's going to rule out with a Michael Jordan flu game. You know, like if he's on the field and he's seeing routes, seeing opportunities, he's getting air yards. And I don't not know. Let's see if they give us an indication of what type of sickness. Because if it's like a stomach bug or something, you can give him like a Finnegan or something. Let him. He might be all right to roll. That's the thing is you give him like if it's a stomach bug, he's had this illness for a few days now. Think about when you get an illness and you get sick, after a couple of days, it starts to come down. Maybe they give him some medication, and you know what? He's good enough to get going for a few hours, and he's just rough throwing it, and you know what? He's getting errors. Or the opposite happens. Also against Carolina, it's a plus matchup. That Rashid Shaheed's out. He's going to be suiting up. If he's suiting up, let's see. They say it's remained to see if his illness is going to impact the snap count. This way, I've been dealing with the flu and was not able to practice Thursday or Friday. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Now we're into Sunday. We've had the flu. I would roll with Chris Olave over Mingo in this matchup. I would roll with Chris Olave. I'm not 100% confident due to the snaps or anything. I just know we've had the flu halfway through the week. I know we're an NFL caliber athlete. I know rehydration is going to be okay. I know medication is more than likely going to be on point here. I would roll with Chris Olave here, and I would not feel okay about it, but rolling in a matchup here with Mingo too, I'm also not feeling okay, and they'll probably give similar results, but I'm going to be chasing those air yards and those targets, and hopefully he does. Hi, Ron Duffy. What's going on? Thank you for watching. Thank you for plugging in this morning. Daniel, a lot going on with this matchup, and there's just going to be a lot of opportunities. And then with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you just don't know what his role is going to be with this offense. He could start off hot, and they keep him in there, or it's him and McKinnon back and forth with touches all game. So I feel safer with Swift, unless you want to swing for the fence with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That's the other indication there. If you want to swing for the fence, go for it. Go for it. It's week 14. Do it. But I feel a little safer with Swift. I like the matchup too. No, I don't like the matchup, but I feel like it's in. Do I start Rashawn or Ridley? 0.5 other options. Let me double check on Lawrence here. I'm been meaning to check on him. I like to check the views constantly. Officially active. It's questionable. Tough matchup against the Browns, but the Browns are hurting a quarterback. I mean, you got that high ankle sprain against a tough defense here. Should be a lower scoring game. Should be a slower game. The Browns are definitely not going to pick up the pace fast with Joe Flacco. They really shouldn't be. But if the Jaguars can get to Flacco, this all kind of hinders around Joe Flacco. Because if they can get to Joe Flacco, they can create more opportunities. 0.5 PPR, Roschon. So I think Roschon's a little bit of a risk as well because Foreman's back. I don't see. Foreman's back too. I know Ridley's going to be on the field, and I know Ridley's going to be getting opportunities. Foreman's back. To what capacity of how they want to operate this backfield is, and it's against the Lions as well. They got Herbert, Roschon, and Foreman back. I feel a little bit safer with Ridley. I don't feel good about it. I also don't feel good about Roschon Johnson. Looking at your other options, you got Spears and Henry, and then Gainwell. Well, we know Gainwell needs Swift to get injured for him to be getting more opportunities. And then Spears is going to be a lottery ticket because of this matchup with the Dolphins and his role in the passing game. He's getting about 4 to 5 targets per game here. So Spears versus Roschon's more of a push. I think Ridley's safer if you want to be safer with Ridley because you know he's going to be out there with a 80 to 90% route participation rate, seeing a lot of snaps, seeing a lot of opportunities. Who knows what the targets are going to be looking like. Spears, I look at him as a lottery ticket with this matchup. If you need to play a lottery ticket out of that group, I'd play Spears. If you need to play upside, that could give you downside. If you need to play it safe, you need a guy you know who's guaranteed getting snaps and routes, I would play Ridley. And that would be my strategy here. Alcoholics Fishing. Let's see what you got here. 9-4, 14 PPR. All right. Worried about running back for playoffs. Opinions here. So you got ETN. You got James Conner, Tyreek Hill. So you're good at what? You're damn good at. Is this a 14? It says 9-4, 14 PBR. Does that mean it's a 14 teamer? Because you're at Tyreek, CD, Amon-Ra. Because that's about as good as you can get at the wide receiver position. And you got Keaton Mitchell. You got your upside running back. You got Connor starting to hit. I'd be watching him. I imagine your trade deadline's dead. You got ETN. I feel like if it's a 14 teamer, you're very good at the wide receiver spot. You got ETN. He's got a rib issue. I imagine he's going to be back to playing the full health, if not this week, sooner or later. I mean, he should be good to go. It's just the rib issue. Connor's starting looking like he's coming on the come up, so I like that. I think you're going to be all right. You got Dearness there's the cuff. You missed out on CH. If I read that right, you dropped him. I think you're going to be all right, and you're going to have opportunities to play the waiver wire. If anything, that might be a blessing in disguise to where it's going to open you up to play the waiver wire a little bit more. I'd still be playing strong on the waiver wire. I'd be looking at that. You're very solid at wide receiver. That is going to be your cornerstone spot. That's something to look at. I think you're going to be good. I think you're good. If I'm reading, you said 14 PPR. I'm reading that as a 14 teamer. If I'm rolling out Tyreek, CD, Amon-Ra with a good tight end every week, I think you're going to be good. I think you're going to be all right. I think you got some upside here. I would just keep playing the waiver wire at the running back position. I think you got a good cornerstone on your offense. You're good at quarterback. I think at running back you got ETN and you got running backs to play with. I think you're actually in a good spot. Just keep hammering the waiver wire at the running back position, and it could be a blessing in disguise because you know what? You can keep working the running backs with the waiver wire. You don't have that sunk cost. You don't have a roster clogger if Clyde Edwards-Helaire becomes one or becomes a league winner, whatever happens with him. But now you're open to play that a little bit more. You can be a little bit more free. So that might be a good thing for you. So I think you're going to be good to roll. I like that. 14 teamer, I see you say that in the bottom. It's hard to keep up with the chats. I just try and think through these. Yeah, I think you're really good. I think you're really good. I think you're in a good spot. Aurora, what's going on? Good morning to you too. Thank you for watching. Full PBR, Nico Sutton, Javonte. I think, if I remember right, Nico and Sutton are a push. Sutton, a lot of people are going with him over due to the situation, and 4-for-4 had them neck and neck. Javonte is a good question, though. I want to look. I'm having a hard time keeping up with the chats here. And then Nico. Javonte, let's go back to him. Denver Chargers. Oh, yeah. I'd go with Javonte. I'd go with Javonte Williams in this matchup. I feel a little safe with him. I like the Chargers matchup. I like he's safe with the touches. You know what you're going to get. I feel good about that. Nico Collins is a good upside play, kind of not under the radar, but due to the matchup. That's a matchup where it's very tricky due to the weather and the defense. Sutton, he's got upside. He's got upside due to the air yards, the opportunities there. Same matchup. I think him and Williams are kind of in the same boat. So if you want to pick your poison between those two, go ahead. I feel a little bit safer with Javonte Williams. If you want to shoot for upside, Sutton. Sutton and Nico are a push in 4-4 rankings, and they're really a push between a lot of people I've talked to. Javonte's a little safer. He's a little bit higher on 4-4 rankings, and that's because of the safety of guaranteed touches, good matchup. So Javonte Williams for me because he's safer. If I need to shoot for upside, I roll with Sutton because I like that matchup. Clyde Edwards-Helaire JSN today. That's good. Good question. I would roll Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I would roll Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think both of them got iffies with them. A lot of questions with them. JSN is sharing the targets. Not the greatest matchup. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, great matchup. We don't know what the workload's looking like. I think I'd go Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think they're both gambles. And if I'm going to do for that, I'm going to shoot for that upside with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Bruce Flash, nice name. Thank you for watching. So we have a question here. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Hubbard. Why did I say Hubbard? Or ETN, Hubbard, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, concerned about the low-scoring matchup if Lawrence doesn't play. Lawrence is going to be in, but it still could be a low-scoring matchup here due to the ankle, due to the Browns' defense, due to Joe Flacco and all that stuff. Am concerned about that. But I'm also concerned about Clyde Edwards-Helaire because I do not know about the workload with that. I would definitely do Clyde Edwards-Helaire over Hubbard. I would definitely be doing that. I feel a little safer with that. Kinda. I just like the upside too with the matchup with the Bills. And then it's a push between ETN and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and that sounds dirty to say. I think it was me. I'd be just rolling with ETN. I'd feel a little safer. If I want to shoot for upside, I'd throw in Clyde Edwards-Helaire, especially if it felt like my back's against the wall. But I feel a little safer with ETN. I feel like the matchup's just not going to allow him to tap into that upside. Also, I think with the limited mobility, I think with what's going on with his offense right now, I think that could lend opportunities in the passing game for ETN with check downs. It is going to be a lower scoring game, weather, all that stuff. I see that. I see Clyde Edwards-Helaire in a great matchup here. I see him splitting the workload a little bit. And yeah, I would go ETN versus CEH. ETN to play it safe, CEH to shoot for upside due to that matchup. A lot of times I think I'd be going ETN over Clyde Edwards-Helaire unless I'm hurting from the Thursday night games or injuries. Des, thank you for watching. Full PPR, 2 running backs. You'll select 2, Swift, Ford, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. The safest opinion here would be Swift and Ford. Those are your 2 safest running backs to go with there with that group. Ford, you know what you're going to get. No matter what, he's going to score enough to get you by. Swift is going to be getting opportunities. I guess the Dallas defense. But the Dallas defense will also, if you look at the game logs from week to week, they're more like bend to not break to the running backs. And this is a divisional matchup. Swift and Ford safe. If you want, like I've been saying with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, though, there's an or, so there might be another player. The chat's getting kind of full. I'm not seeing it. There might be but it looks like we're going down the line in value here. I would play safe with Swift or Ford. And then if I wanted to shoot for upside, Swift and CH due to that matchup with Ford, which could be a low scoring game. Vegas had a 30-point total for that. So if you want to shoot for pure upside and know that you could strike out with CEH due to we do not know the touch distribution. Really, we kind of have an idea, but we kind of don't. Swift CEH. If you want to play safe, Swift Ford. But I think I'm going to roll with Swift nonetheless. D. Cannon, what's going on? Thank you for the question. We got Bijan Robinson, Kyron, HN, Ekeler, sit 1. I'm sitting Ekeler. That's what my gut's rolling with there. I'm never going to sit Bijan. I feel like he's at least going to be safe because his role in the passing game, and you can throw on Tampa Bay, and he's probably going to be getting targets in this matchup. They love Kyron too much not to use him, and even in tough matchups, he gets targets. And then HN he's just a lottery ticket always to go off. And Ekeler, I can see him turning things around. And I can definitely see that happening this week. But there's just a lot more question marks. I feel safer with the other 3 running backs, even though HN kind of got some question marks as well. But I think I'd roll with those first 3 and feel pretty good about it. Ray D. Bragg, thank you for watching. Flex Flowers or Jay Reed, half PPR. Thanks. I like that Giants matchup for Jay Reed. I really like that matchup. I feel very good about it. Reed's been somewhat consistent. up and down. So I'm rolling with Jay Reed there. Big Dog Pound 1, what's going on? Thank you for the question here. Gus Buster Keaton Mitchell. That is the ultimate question here with the Ravens. I mean, honestly, if you want to play it safe, go with Gus Bus. If you want to shoot for upside, go with Keaton Mitchell. And you're not going to know about these running backs till we're in game. They got Keaton Mitchell ahead of him on the depth chart, which that means nothing because Gus Bus was ahead of Keaton Mitchell on the depth chart prior, and that it's been a pretty close split with these running backs. And that's probably what we're going to look at. And they have the luxury of using their pitching wedge when they need to, using their driver when they need to, using their putter when they need to with these running backs. And that's how the game's probably going to be played with them. So honestly, I would look at Gus Bus as the safe option for the goal line looks and Keaton Mitchell as the home run hitter and what you need. If you're hurting from Thursday games, the other guy scored a lot of points, I'd be rolling with Keaton Mitchell. If my lineup's straight up, I'm not being hurt with injuries. And you know what? I need to just get by here at least. And if I get upside, cool, then Gus Bus. But me in a nutshell, gun to my head, probably Keaton Mitchell because I love shooting for upside, but I also got to give you the conservative option as well. Peanut butter jelly time. Thank you for the question here. So we got Sutton, Cooks, Flowers, or Jaden Reed here. So Brandon Cooks, Sutton. So Brandon Cooks is an interesting dichotomy here, and I really want to look into this real quick because he's got that great matchup, but he's the wide receiver too, and he's just now starting to bring it up here. So Brandon Cooks, let me get up the wide receivers, look them up here real fast. So Cooks, but Sutton's ahead of him against the Chargers. Cooks ahead of Flowers, and then Reed I like this week when they're a little bit lower on Reed. So you got a conundrum between Sutton, Cooks, and Reed with me because I really like all three. I like all three. That's the thing about it. I like Sutton, Cooks, and Reed a lot. I really like those three. I like Sutton's matchup. I like Jaden Reed a lot in the Giants, and I like Cooks and his matchup. I feel a shade. You know what? I feel a shade safest with Jaden Reed here, but I also feel very safe with Sutton. Cooks is a little bit of a wild card because the flow of the ball could go all over the place. I would pick your favorite between those two, Sutton and Reed, because they're a little bit of safest between those two guys. In my guts going between those back and forth. I like Cooks as well, but if I'm looking at safety, Sutton versus Reed, and I know I'm getting upside out of both of them. If I'm looking at pure upside, YOLO off the matchup, then I'm thinking about Cooks, but I can get that with Sutton and Reed as well. And I think they're both in great matchups here. Also, whether all that entails, I think Sutton's a little bit safer than Reed. So Sutton, if you need a name for sure, Sutton. But really, in my head, it's a dichotomy between Sutton and Reed here, and I like them both. And I really like Sutton, Cooks, and Reed this week. I hope this helps you. I went through a lot of it, but I like all three of them. If I had to pick one, Sutton. But I like Sutton, Cooks, and Reed. Big thank you for watching the channel. Thank you for the question. Love or Stroud? I'd go Love. I feel like that's a better matchup. I think Stroud's got the Jets matchup. We're on the East Coast against the Jets. Yeah, I'd go with Love. Feel a little safer with that. Alcoholics, thank you for watching. Thank you for the questions. I'm glad it's a 14-team PPR because that looks very good for your team. Peanut butter, jelly time, losing Tank through my wide receiver into a carousel of the Tank. It was a big killer this with that injury. A big killer. It hurt a lot. It hurt a lot. I understand. Hopefully the waiver works out. Hopefully that does. I understand losing him was huge. We have the super chat in. I'm going to house. Thank you for the super chat. We got a half PPR here. Goddard, Likely, Everett, Pitts. Oh my. So let's look at the rankings here because I want to go a little bit deeper and then we'll get back to the flow of things here. Let me figure out where I need my mouse to go to get to the other side. There we go. And we got Goddard, Likely. So when it comes to tight ends, they are Goddard. They got him at 8. And that was my gut was going with Goddard. Likely. They got him at 11. Ever at 12. It's at 14th. Usually you can just pick your poison and roll with it. If I had to pick one, half PPR, given the matchup here and this Cowboys matchup, we got a lot of games here with low over-unders here. Vegas is saying that 40 points or less, it's about half the slate or more. I think I'd feel safe with Goddard. I think next I'd roll with upside with Pitts due to the air yards and due to the vulnerabilities with the Tampa Bay defense in the passing game. But I do not trust Arthur Smith to really capitalize on that and work with that, and Ritter to do that as well. I got her in matchup against the Cowboys because I think the game script is going to be pushed, and I think this is going to be a fun matchup. And nonetheless, if I'm rolling into a fun matchup like this later in the day, I really want some chips in that game. So I would be looking at that. I'd roll with Goddard. That's what I would do. And again, with tight ends, they're fluky. It's a very fluky position, but I think Goddard, when given the matchups and everything, that would be the guy I'd be pushing the button on for my team. So working back up here on the super chat, going back, the last person was about Tank Dell. Okay. Carl Stevens, thank you for watching. Cooks versus Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You know what? That's a great question. I feel like Cooks might be the funner play here. I'll say that much. Well, they're both very fun plays, very fun options this week. I'm going to play it safe, and I want those running back touches. I'd go Clyde Edwards-Helaire. However, I know there's a chance because of touch distribution-wise, and this is the same risk for both players. I think I would roll with Brandon Cooks if I wanted to shoot for upside due to this matchup. You're going to want to be going to the cover CD Lamb the best possible. You're going to have shade over him on top of what you already got. Brandon Cooks has been running a little bit hotter. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, if I'm playing it safe, I'm pushing that button on him because the opportunities, that matchup's good. If I'm shooting for upside, I want that upside, Brandon Cooks. Happy Trees, thank you. Thank you for watching and everything. Alcoholics Fishing. By the way, I love your channel. Keep doing awesome. Thank you. Thank you, though. Thank all you guys for watching. Thank you, guys. See, which two would you flex in? Chuba or Noah Brown? That is a conundrum. I want to look at the rankings real quick for Chuba. There he is at 56. Chuba's a little bit safe there. I'll go with him for the safety play. And now we're looking at Ridley Moore, Noah Brown. Moore's been getting targeted. Flacco's been targeting him pretty good. And these jabroni quarterbacks have been targeting more. Noah Brown's in a situation here where he could be seeing some upside, but he's been dealing with knee issues. Chuba, Moore seems like your safest options right now. If you want to go YOLO, Chuba Brown. But I feel dirty with that. I think Ridley's kind of safe, but I feel like he's kind of risky due to the game, due to the Browns defense, due to how slow this game could be. Elijah Moore could be risky in those scenarios as well. But I know the target share is going to be pushing around 20%. And then I can roll with what happens after that. Chuba, I know he's getting touches and opportunities. So I would look at it this way. I would either roll Chuba or Moore as a safer options, or I'd go Chuba and Brown as my YOLO options if I want to shoot for more upside. Preston Newsome, I need a win. Flex Cup, Brees, Ridley, or McKinnon. I feel safest with Brees. That off the rip. I feel safest with Brees Hall, and that's what I'd be rolling with. Mike Kinney, Chris Godwin, Jaden Reed, T. Higgins. Half PPR with two. You got to start two of those. Jaden Reed, I feel, you got some good options here, though. You have Chris Godwin, Jaden Reed, T. Higgins. Half PPR. Let me check 4 for 4 for you because I like what you got there. Fundamental says Godwin, T. Higgins. Fundamentals just says that right off the. You got Godwin there. Where do you got? And Godwin to be safe. Reed and Higgins for upside. Fundamentals, if you want to just play it that way, Godwin and Higgins. But I think Reed with the matchup. Reed and Godwin to be safe. Reed and T. Higgins for more upside. Chris, Keaton Mitchell, Zay Flowers, or Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Clyde Edwards-Helaire to play safe due to the matchup. Keaton Mitchell, that home run swing. That's how I would play that. Combat Cash Club. I've seen you in the chat a bunch of times. I know you're an MMA guy. Me too, as you can tell from back over here. 12-man full PPR. My RB2 is out. I have to start one. Keaton Mitchell, McKinnon, or Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I would look at it as Keaton Mitchell versus CEH. Unless you want to gamble, I would look at CH and McKinnon as kind of like one entity and then just pick between the two. And when I think about that, I like that Bills matchup. If I want to play it safe, I go CH, Keaton Mitchell for more upside. And I'm going to be back and forth with that a lot. Because we do not know where the touches are going to be looking at for Keaton Mitchell. I feel like they're going to start increasing a little bit. We're coming out of a bye. Same thing with Clyde Edwards-Helaire and McKinnon. And that matchup might buoy both of them. That's the thing about that. So that matchup might lend it to be a little bit safer. So you may want to roll Clyde Edwards-Helaire if you want to take no risk. If you want to shoot for that upside, go a little bit more YOLO than Keaton Mitchell. And I think YOLO is in the cards for both the Chiefs running backs, but we all know it's there for Keaton Mitchell. That being said, if I'm in 10 leagues, I'm probably going 60-40 here, and it's probably leaning Keaton Mitchell. But if I want to play it safe, my roster is iffy, I'm leaning Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I know that's kind of in the middle of politician-ish, but again, strategy is part of the game. Keaton Mitchell or Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Same question, Padilla. Same answer, even with his PPR. If you want to shoot for the fence on the home run, Keaton Mitchell. If you want to play it safe, and it's really not safe because you do not know how they're going to distribute the ball. If I were them, I'd throw it a little bit more. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But home run swing, Mitchell, if you want to roll with that. Larry J. Cook, Breece Hall, or Cook. I'd go Breece Hall. I feel good with Breece Hall. Big Dog Pound 1. This is my PPR lineup. Okay, let me scroll down a little bit. The chat's getting all right. This chat's getting pretty big here. All right, Big Dog Pound 1. This is my PPR lineup: Lamar, Kyron, Bijan, Lamb, Evans, Hockenson, Laporta, Colts. All right, let me look. So you're good at running back, and I like the wide receivers with Lamb and Evans. Evans is going to get you that upside. Lamb's consistent, great matchup. Hockenson and Laporta doubled up at tight end, and you can't go wrong with either of those guys. And plus, you got the market cornered at tight end there with the sustainable guys there. Collins, Colts. So Nico Collins, Colts. Keaton. All right, so your bench is Russ, Gus, James Cook. James Cook versus I'd go Bijan over Cook. Keaton, I'd go Bijan over him. Ridley, I don't like the matchup too well. Plus, I think you're good with your lineup. I think you're good. I think you're good to go. Good luck this week. Thank you for watching. Matthew, what's up? What's going on? Full PPR, London, Gabe Davis, Hall. I want to play it safe with Hall, upside with Gabe Davis. And what I mean by that is if my lineup's not hurting or if the other guy didn't go ham on Thursday, then I'm going to feel safe with Hall in my lineup because I know he's getting touches, opportunities. If I want to take a gamble, swing for the fence, and there's a likelihood I could strike out, Gabe Davis. And the reason why is that Chiefs matchup. But I think Hall gives you upside as well. Do that upside due to what he does in the passing game, the receiving production. Dylan Fink, what's up? What's up to you too? Thank you for watching. Full PPR. Pick. Okay, number 1, Stroud at Jets or Fields at Lions. I'd roll Fields at Lions due to the rushing upside, especially if that is favorable for you. Number 2, pick 1, running back. Ford at Jacksonville, Singletary at Jets, or Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Ford to be safe because I know what I'm going to get here, and I know he's going to score me enough to get me by. If I need more than that and I want to shoot for upside and I'm not scared of striking out, and I could strike out with this, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So there's a chance you strike out with Clyde Edwards-Helaire due to we do not know the touch distribution, but the matchup could allow you to hit that home run than Clyde Edwards-Helaire. However, if you just want to get by, you know what the touches are going to be like. You know what? You're going to get a good 10 to 12 spot out of Ford. And if you're okay with that, then that's what I would roll with. I think 9 times out of 10, I think I'd roll with Ford over Clyde Edwards-Helaire unless I really hurting, or if there's something sus about my lineup or the matchup I'm rolling with. So if I have both these players in multiple different leagues and stuff, I'm going to have different guys starting in that scenario. I don't trust the matchup there with the Jets. I don't trust Pierce. I don't trust that. I don't trust Clyde Edwards-Helaire that much this week, but I do trust the volume in this game. I feel safe with Ford. Sorry if that's too much down the line or too politician-y, but I play with strategy. I also diversify a lot in my portfolio of leagues and teams and lineups. And if I'm going to diversify, then I'm going to tell you how I'm going to diversify to help you guys out. And hopefully something in that carousel of thoughts helps you or anybody else out. Hello, JP. Thank you for the question here. JSN, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I feel a little bit safer with Clyde Edwards-Helaire due to him getting running back touches and opportunities. I also like the matchup better. Matthew Hernandez, full PBR. I think I answered that one. I went with Hall due to being safer. Davis, more of an upside home run play. Hall would probably be the guy be hitting the button with 99% of the time, though. What's up, Cam? What's going on? Thank you for watching. Peanut butter, jelly time. Locked into the playoffs. Probably roll the dice on the Wisconsin Debo this week against the Giants. Hell yeah, let's get into the playoffs. Good luck to you this week. Cam, 2. Gut feeling. I'm going with McKinnon over CH. Your thoughts? I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all. And I looked at the start rates on Sleeper before we got in here. And honestly, people in Sleeper, when you look at the percentages, the variance is only 5% between those two running backs. And honestly, I feel like it's going to be a box of chocolates with these guys. You don't know what you're going to get. I feel like there's going to be opportunities. And this is why I've been kind of wishy-washy with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And I feel like that's just the smart move to tell you guys. Just there's upside with both these running backs. And Jerick McKinnon was good last year. He was good last year. He's good in the passing game. And it might be more situational. And it might be more in game. And it might be a headache. And we might not like it. Or it might be one of these guys roll. You don't know. And it's kind of like a gut roll. And the best thing with fantasy football and these numbers and the projections here is really dive in this every week hard into the numbers to the point where when you have to make a decision with your gut feels good because it has information and you're not picking off whims. We know what we're into here. We know the coaching staff's wishy-washy when they're telling us touch distribution with players here. We know the hit rate's lower compared to other coaching staffs when it comes to coach speak here. The Coach Speak Index on Twitter, check that out because they're grading the coaches when they talk on press conferences. Also, I went over the press conference. Andy Reid was very wishy-washy. You could tell it's in game. It's in game. Roll with the one you like. Go with your gut. That's why we go over the numbers so hard. Because that's what matters, and that's just how it's going to work out. And you can definitely tell with this matchup here. Bully, would you sit Ridley for Wicks, Odell, Shakur? I feel like Ridley is the safer one of the 4. But if I wanted to go the next safest with upside, it'd be Odell. And it's kind of weird to think of it that way. But because Odell's getting a good ADOT right now, pushing like 15 yards per target or whatever. I've been talking about it a lot. His target shares around 18% right now. And he's been pretty steady off and on. The last game was a little bit low, but that was the Chargers matchup where it was a low, nasty game script. So if you're not feeling Ridley and you needed to pick between the 3, the safest one would be Odell, and he does have upside due to the ADOT. Shakir's YOLO, if you need to go YOLO, and again, he's a home run hittering wide receiver. He hits 2 out of every 5 games with 15 fantasy points or more, and then in the other games, it's like 7, 6, 5 points or less. Ridley, if you want to feel a little safe, but I think Odell's probably just as safe when you look at the target share and air yards. The matchup's not great, but again, you know what? It's kind of a revenge game as well, too. So it's something you may want to look at there. I wouldn't hate it if you sat Ridley for Odell. I would not hate that. I wouldn't hate that at all. Mike Kenny, thank you for watching and thanks for commenting and being around and being active. I love you guys. Room 237, Mitchell or James Cook. James Cook, safer. little safer option. Mitchell, if you want to shoot for the fences. Objectively, most of my lineups would probably go Cook just because I'm playing it safe. And then I'd probably have a portion of my lineups because I'm a portfolio player. And I'll admit that. I'll diversify a little bit. And depending on the matchups I'm going against and the teams I'm going against in fantasy, if I need more upside, I'd go with Keaton Mitchell. And I think that's tight enough to do that. But I think most of the time I'd be clicking that Day Cook button. Tom Bennett. Each week I struggle behind Javonte Williams and Jerome Ford. And this week I could see that Williams is in a good matchup this week. He's pretty safe. Jerome Ford, you know what you're going to get. And I feel like you're solid and locked in with 10 to 12 fantasy points this week. Vegas is really saying for that Browns matchup that it's ugly. Let me check the line. Let me check the line here because we got Trevor Lawrence in. That line was at 30 when I did that video on Friday. That line was at about the point total because I have a feeling the market only cares a little bit. I don't really follow betting markets that much, only for fantasy. So it jumped up 7 full points to 37.5 from 30. It was at 30 earlier this week. So if you made that bet earlier this week and smashed it over, you're probably in a little bit better luck here. But it jumped up from like 30.5 or something like that to 37.5. So it jumped up 7 points. That being said, we're still under 40. We still got Flacco there. You got Javonte Williams. Let's see what 4-4 says here. This is a very when the dichotomy gets interesting, I kind of want to look into it more. So the market, what it says is saying, hey, we care, but we're still concerned. That's kind of what it said about Lawrence coming back with the high ankle sprain because he could be a sitting duck against the Browns defense here. So what we're looking at Javonte, 15. Sports Friday, right? They got Javonte Williams ahead of Ford. They're very conservative. And I was saying right before that, Javonte ahead of Ford. I think Javonte's safe. He's got upside. I think Ford's in a game where it could be a little bit slower for him. So I would go Javonte ahead of Ford. Okay. Let's see where I was at here. JT, my man. Devin Singletary, Clyde. I am also playing Rashi and Mahomes. I get it because you want to diversify. I don't know if I want to diversify to Singletary versus the Jets, though, in a game that's supposed to be nasty in weather. I think Clyde's got upside. I think if he gets the touches, then you're going to want him. And you know what? I think there's a good chance he scores enough to get you by. I would still do Clyde over Singletary. Ahmad, what's up? What's going on? Thank you for watching. Missed Ekeler. Is Joshua Kelly splitting 50-50 or what? So this is what I think about this. I think this is going to be a huge matchup for Ekeler. This is a good game for him to get right. However, if he doesn't get right, Joshua Kelly, they're going to start throwing him in. And I think Kelly's going to start getting more opportunities. It could be more like 60-40, though. I don't know if it's going to be 50-50. We're going to see that in game. They're also, the Coach Speak reliability rating on Coach Speak Index isn't great for the Chargers. That being said, for Staley, that being said, I look for Ekeler to start off, and I look for them to start off the game getting a feel from that. I look for them to start off the game with a scripted amount of plays, and then they're going to roll off that script, and then they're going to pivot from that. If he's getting bottled up, if things aren't looking good, if they're not going to move it on the ground or through the air with Ekeler, and if things are getting stifled, they're going to pivot from that script. I don't think they're going into this game with it pegged 50-50, 60-40, 70-30. I think if I read the tea leaves right, they're going to come in this game with a game script for the first series or two, and probably first two series. That would be my guess. First 2 to 3, actually. And they'll probably be willing to pivot off 2 series if it's not going well. And then that's going to tell you the touches. I don't think they're rolling into this game saying, hey, it's going to be 50-50, 60-40. I think they're going to go off the game script. And they may hear Kelly's in some of that game script. But I also feel like that's why they're wishy-washy, and that's why script, and they're going to see what goes on with that script. I can't give you a percentage on that. I feel like Ekeler's going to get his opportunity in the first couple series, and it's really going to be how he rolls on that. I'm going Goddard over Isaiah, KG Frederick, Chuba or Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Thank you for watching. I would go Clyde Edwards-Helaire over Chuba. I honestly, if you want to go with safety, then Chuba. But honestly, I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire baseline safetiness, but I think I like the upside of the Bills matchup. I think I like that. I think that he might fall in the end zone too. I think I like that. I like the Chiefs can move the ball, and they're going to use them on the goal line. Don't forget about Deneric Prince. Don't forget about him. You may want to stash him because both these running backs, McKinnon and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, you guys might want to smash that like button for that because if something happens to one of these two running backs, both these running backs have dealt with injuries throughout their career. If something happens to one of these two running backs, everybody's going to be running after Prince. So if anybody in this chat has room open on their depth charts, you may want to stash him now. And just in case we get through this game, one of those running backs get hurt. We know how football's played. I should have done a video on this, but this is what these chats do to me. They allow me to think things through. Let's see. Next is Ahmad. NFL Fantasy projects is a joke. They got Singletary at third. Yeah. The projections are weird when I'm looking at these teams. I don't know. Like I've been trying to. I don't know how sites come up with projections. I don't really understand it. I like find my own sites that I like and trust, and I go with it, and I kind of gather their theme. I use 4for4 a lot because I understand they're more conservative, and I know rationally I'm more of a risk taker. So I lean into risk a little bit more, and I like to use them to butt up heads against myself. So when it comes to that, you may want to find a set of rankings that works for you like that and just pay attention. 4for4, when you look at Fantasy Pros, they have multiple awards when it comes to their rankings and stuff throughout the years with that as well. Brees or Keaton? I'm going with Brees. Thank you for watching Tyler Tessier. But yeah, I would definitely go Brees. I feel safe with him. I like the upside. I love Keaton. I do love him, but I think Brees is good to go. What's up, Perfect Ninja? Shed Ninja. Thanks for coming around here. Yo, what's up, Bruce? I need to decide to flex in half PPR. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Kenneth Walker, Keaton Mitchell, Zay Jones, Khalil Mingo. My gut says between the running backs. My gut says that too because Zay Jones, I'm not trusting the matchup there, even though the points went up on the spread. Khalil Shakur is an upside gamble. And then you got Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Kenneth Walker and Keaton Mitchell. Think about Kenneth Walker. You got the Niners. You got him coming back from injury. You do not know what extent of touches he's getting. You can pretty much make the same story with Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Keaton Mitchell. That's the thing about this. And I look at Keaton Mitchell as the home run threat in this. So Clyde Edwards-Helaire like the matchup. You may want to roll Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Kenneth Walker to play it safe, or Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Keaton Mitchell for the home run play. That's how I would roll with that. And that's depending on what you need and what your opponent's doing. If your opponent went off on Thursday night, it's looking good. If you're hurting with injuries, if your lineup's kind of sus at running back and wide receiver, then you know what? I'd play it straight up, go Kenneth Walker and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. If I want a little bit more upside, I'd go Keaton Mitchell and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Or Keaton Mitchell and Kenneth Walker. I'd get that Keaton Mitchell in there if I need that upside. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Kenneth Walker, not Clyde Edwards-Helaire over Kenneth Walker, but Clyde Edwards-Helaire's matchup over Kenneth Walker's matchup. I just like that a lot better. For upside and stuff and dependability. I'm not 100% dependable on all three of those running backs, but that's how I feel. So Clyde. So next is it's Uchi or it's Clyde or Ford or Jaden Reed. I think out of the three, Jaden Reed's probably the safest. Ford's the next safest. And then Clyde Edwards-Helaire's got some YOLO to him and some safety. So when you're looking at all three, when you're thinking of a start, I don't think you got a bad play out of any of those three players. I think when I look at this, I like Clyde. I like Clyde a lot for what we're looking at for upside and safety. But if you just want to plug a player in, get your 10 fantasy points and move on and not have to worry about it, Ford. I think Jaden Reed's got a good spot on Monday night here against the Giants. I think so too. I think he's going to be pretty safe, and I think he's going to have some upside. I think he's safe. I think if it was me and it was those three, if my lineup's good, I'm going to play it safe, Jaden Reed. Outside of that, if I want to shoot for upside, some risk, I'm going Clyde. So more often than not, I'd be hitting Clyde. I think Clyde out of 3, I feel good with them. It's Clyde versus Reed for the upside. Pick your poison there. I think the running back touches I like for Clyde. Zach Wilson or O'Donnell? I go O'Donnell. I just go with O'Donnell. Keaton Mitchell or Breece Hall? I'd go with Breece Hall. Real Dads Incorporated, thank you for watching. Roshan Johnson or McKinnon. I think they're both in the same situation here. I think I'd roll the dice with McKinnon here. I think they're both in the same. We got Foreman back. We got 3 running backs here to worry about with the Bears. I got 2 with the Chiefs. I think I'd roll with McKinnon here. We got Herbert Dobbs at QB. I think I'd roll with Herbert here. I like that matchup. We got Ahmad. Thank you for watching. Sorensen, thank you for the question. Real Dads, thank you for the question. Phil Mills, thank you. Decan, thank you. Back down with questions here. IG13, full PPR, Zay Flowers or Ken Walker. You know what? I feel safer with Ken Walker with the touches and upside, unless you want to roll with Zay Flowers due to you feeling sus in your gut with the Ken Walker injury and him coming back against the Niners. I know I'm guaranteed getting touches with Ken Walker. I knew I got some pop in his step. However, if you want to roll with Zay Flowers, go ahead. I feel like it's more of a push. Run, John. Thank you for watching. What's up to you, Jordan Love or Justin Herbert? You know what? Jordan Love's pretty safe this week with the Giants. Jordan Love's pretty safe. I feel safe. I feel like it's kind of a push here. I feel like both teams are in good matchups. I think both quarterbacks could go off this week. I feel safe with Jordan Love. Dustin Will, what's up? Noah Brown or Josh Downs? Josh Downs. Any other week I'd go Noah Brown, but we got the Jets and the rain. Brown coming off the knee. Josh Downs is due to bounce back off of 4 bad games. I think I'd go Josh Downs. Runyon. I'm starting Joe Everett or Dalton Kincaid. I'd roll with Dalton Kincaid. That's off my gut and from what I've seen through the rankings. That's who I'd roll with. Thank you, though. Thank you for the question. Anthony Werder. I'm trying to decide between McKinnon, Gabe Davis, Godwin, flex. If you're needing one, Davis, McKinnon. And then Davis and McKinnon push depending on what you need. Gabe Davis is just always that home run threat. He can outscore all of them, but he can also get you a 0. That's the thing about him. But if I had to rank him, Godwin, Dubs, Davis, McKinnon. Thank you, Alex Gardner. I know you retracted your message, but thank you. Also, thank you, Anthony Werder, for the questions. Make sure you guys are smashing that like button. It helps out with the video getting spread around. Thank you guys, though, for everything. R2E2 cards and collectibles. Sounds like you like. Okay, so Clyde Edwards-Helaire versus McKinnon. It's actually I don't like one over the other really that much. It's when it comes to those two, I kind of got them grouped as one here, and I'm actually not trusting them fully. I'm not trusting them fully, and I got it kind of split. If I have to pick, gun to my head, Clyde Edwards-Helaire over McKinnon. However, I'm not sleeping on McKinnon at all here because especially this matchup kind of lends to his skill set. He's good in the passing game, and this could be pretty much like we were talking about Austin Ekeler earlier, that the Chiefs could be rolling in here with a script, and it could be CEH starting it off, and then it could be rolling, pivoting from there depending on what happens with the flow of the game. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire could be in line for the goal line touches as well. McKinnon could be used in the passing game, could be lending hard there, especially in PBR. Really, with those, you want to go with your gut and pick your poison. And one thing I've been pushing these last few minutes because it just dawned on me a while back. So if you're just now gotten to the chat, if you have a roster spot open, look at Deneric Prince because both these 2 running backs have injury histories. Both of them do. So I'm not saying either one of them getting hurt, but if it does and that off chance, everybody's running to the waiver wire to get Prince. He's got good size adjusted athleticism. He was looking good in camp. He was getting a lot of buzz in camp, But look at the running backs they have. They have some veterans here that they can roll with. So that's going to push down a UDFA running back like that. But UDFA running back with some promise here with good size, adjusted athleticism. And that could roll here in the back half of the season if something happens to those two running backs. Ben Scholler, thank you for watching. Jordan Addison, Clyde Edwards-Helaire McKinnon. So that's a good conundrum there. I think I'd roll with the running back touches there. Pick your poison between Clyde Edwards-Helaire and McKinnon. Safety-wise, McKinnon, I guess, between that. I think with Dobbs and Jefferson back. Let's double-check, make sure Jefferson's back, right? He was practicing full all week, but I didn't get the news yet. Well, the news was out. But off injury report, we got Dobbs there. I'll go Clyde Edwards-Helaire unless you want to go McKinnon. Alex Gardner. First off, thank you. It's UG. Thanks, Phil Mills, Alex Gardner, Rashee Rice, or Jerick full PPR. I'd go Rashee Rice with that gamble. He's had 2 good weeks in a row. Good matchup. Could be up and down with him, though. Same thing with McKinnon. But, again, Rashee's a little bit safer. Clyde or Reed, full PPR. Reed's safer. Clyde, a little bit more upside. Reed's got upside too. If you want to hit that button, feel safe, go Reed. Clyde's going to get you those running back touches, but you don't know what that's going to be about. But I think Reed's going to be okay when we get into Monday night. Started Zeke. Let's see. Runyon, thanks, bro. Anthony Word, thanks for the answer. We got Bryce Young or O'Donnell. I'm going with O'Donnell. Brees or Chuba. I'm going Brees. Thank you, guys. Cannon, thank you. Mod Ivat, thank you, Word. I'm trying to get through these a little quicker because we're getting closer to start of the games here. Is Disney waiver wire hat? That's funny. So JD and SD full PPR. Cooks or just doing that this late in the season. I do not suggest doing that. But if you want to do that, that's your team. I'm not against going YOLO. Mostert, safe. Safe start. Hit that button. Feel good about it. But if you want to go YOLO, swing for fence, go ahead. Jake Browning, Josh Dobbs. Let me look at the rankings there because Browning, because you want to just, you know what, I don't know what Dobbs looks like with Jefferson. That could be like a totally different things, and they're ranked right beside each other. You also got Vegas there. That's that matchup, but Javante's in a good matchup. I think if it was me picking between the two, I think I would go with Javante. All right. Looks like we're rounding things up here. If you guys got any questions, throw them in there real quick. Smash that like button. I'll hold on for another minute or two. If nothing comes up, I'll head out here, look at my lineups as well. I need to look at mine and get some mindset. But I want to thank you guys for watching. It's been a great season. I'll be around for week 15. You know that. I'll be around for the off season too. Might want to hit that subscribe button if you're in here. Just give that a tap. Especially, I'm going to be here to help you guys with the NFL draft. If you're into Dynasty or if you want to learn about Dynasty, I'm probably the best resource out there, period, because I've been doing it for about a decade now. So I can also point you down to other resources and everything. If you want to learn about Dynasty, this is probably the place to be at. Senior staff writer for DynastyLeagueFootball.com, been there for a decade. I've seen it from the 2014 rookie draft class to David Johnson winning people's leagues, people drafting Odell Beckham and fading him in rookie drafts due to him and the hamstring injury during his rookie season, to them getting worked over that. Jaden Reed or DeAndre Swift? That's a good question. Thank you for that question. Reed's safer. Reed's safer due to the matchup. DeAndre Swift, though, is getting those running back touches. He does have some YOLO to him due to that game script. I feel a little bit better with Reed. Let me double check with 444. 444 is going to rank Swift ahead of him. Swift 52, Reed at 80. So if you want to go conservative here due to the running back touches, 444 would say Swift over Reed. I feel Reed's a little safer. I feel like I'm good with that Giants matchup. I think Swift's going to be somewhat safe. I think he's going to be somewhat safe to get you by in scoring, though, to where it gets you 10 to 12 pretty easy in this matchup. I think Reed's good with upside. I think Reed's going to be all right in this matchup, too. I think both have similar safe and upside, I would go Reed here. Yeah, I was so ahead. Well, it was real weird with me and Kyron. So if we go back with the draft, let's go back looking at that. This is gonna follow me off season because I talked about him in like that January. I liked them. I was here, and then the combine happens. I'm here, and then we get in the then we get in the training camp, and I start coming up. They start liking them, and then right before the season. And one thing I've learned about is these players that get drafted late and their UDFAs are drafted fifth, sixth, seventh round, but they have stuff in their profile that's kind of good, even though they got some red flags. If they start coming on in training camp pretty quick, Keaton Mitchell, Kyron Williams, but in their situation at the depth chart, you can see it's a little bit ambiguous. You might want to look at that. You might want to look at that pretty hard. That's a huge indicator. That's a very huge indicator, and that's why the offseason is huge, especially draft season. Because usually with rookie running backs like Clinton Portis back in the day, Alfred Morris back in the day. No, not Clinton Portis, but Alfred Morris back in the day. We had that happen too. Aaron Foster had that happen. We've seen this happen with running backs. More questions, Roy, between Dobbs or Jake? Dobbs or Jake? Jake. Back here. Let me double check here. I like Dobbs due to the rushing production. And one thing about him is I do not know what we're getting here with Justin Jefferson back, but I could only assume it's only good. Impossible Nico. So it's really a coin flip between Clyde Edwards-Helaire and McKinnon. If you need one between those two, maybe Clyde Edwards-Helaire due to maybe the goal line looks and maybe due to the news we got from Andy Reid, even though I'm on record not trusting it. I don't trust it, and I feel like both these running backs split. It's probably going to be scripted starting the game. Now we're looking at the wide receivers here: Nico, London, Noah Brown, Amari Cooper, Lockett, and Higgins. Higgins is one, and then I would roll Nico above Noah Brown, and then you got London is in a great matchup against Tampa Bay. So you can really swing this a bunch of different ways here. You got Nico in the rain against the Jets. That might be an off game for Stroud. It may not be. You got London, though. You got Mario Cooper in a matchup where it's not super favorable, and Flacco's been going to Elijah Moore a little bit more. And Cooper just got off the injury report. You got Lockett against the Niners. Safety-wise, Higgins, London. Because London is going to push about a 20% target share. And they're going to push. They should be pushing air yards against Tampa Bay because that's what teams do. If you want to go YOLO on the flex, Higgins, Collins. If you want to go YOLO, you need to shoot for upside. If you need one running back, it's a split between McKinnon and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Pick your poison, but if you really need a name, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Next, Clyde Edwards-Helaire or McKinnon, Minshew, or Lawrence. Same thing. Pick your poison between those two running backs. If you need a name, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I'm not super sold on the situation or this team with their news when it comes to running backs. Minshew or Lawrence. Minshew, I don't feel good about it. But I don't feel good about it. Lawrence, the over-under jumped 7 points here on the Browns game. It was at 30. It's now at 37. It was at like 30 and a half. It's now at 37 and a half. So the market's saying that we're kind of concerned, but we're still kind of interested when it comes to this. Super chat that just jumped in here. Thank you, John D. Thank you for the super chat. Always appreciate it. Cooks, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Ferguson, Keaton. Pick 2. So we got Keaton Mitchell, Ferguson, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Cooks. So I'm going to give you 2 answers here. If you want to play it safe, kind of safe, Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Cooks. If you want to shoot for straight up side here, I would go Keaton. Upside with safety is Keaton and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. If you want to go just upside with safety, Keaton, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Cooks, CEH if you want to play it like straight up. That's how I would look at that. I do like the matchup for Cooks. I do see like the target distribution might be off a little bit, but I would do if it was me, I would do Keaton and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So when I thank you for a super chat there, CEH versus McKinnon. So like I've been saying this for the last couple hours here. When it comes to these two running backs, I don't really trust the touch distribution, and I would roll my gut with them. However, if I needed a guy to pick, I'd roll, if I had to, roll with Clyde Edwards-Helaire with my gun to my head, because goal line looks due to what was said in the media, but I don't trust it. We went over that in yesterday's video with Andy Reid. He mentioned that Clyde Edwards-Helaire was going to be a starter, even though it wasn't sounding with confidence. There was some ambiguity there. I would roll with Clyde Edwards-Helaire due to that. If I had to pick between the two, I'm not sleeping on McKinnon. That's really why. Thinking about that, I would go Clyde Edwards-Helaire if I had to. Thank you guys for the super chats. Let's see here. Forehead, Amari, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, McKinnon, Kenneth Walker, Edwards. I think I'd go Edwards-Helaire over Kenneth Walker. It's a shade safe. I want to go Kenneth Walker. Actually, Kenneth Walker is safer. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is more upside because you know what you're getting touches-wise with Kenneth Walker. But I think touch-wise, game script-wise, and coming back from injury-wise, I think I'd go with Edwards maybe with that one. Kyle Pitts or Brevin Jordan. You know what? If you can't start Kyle Pitts this week against Tampa Bay Buccaneers, then I'd drop him. Then I'd probably drop him. This is a good matchup for him. I'd roll with Kyle Pitts. That's it. All right. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys. Make sure you hit that subscribe button on the way out. Hit that like button. I think I'm going to head out here. Your guys' questions were awesome. It was a great Sunday morning live stream. Thank you guys. I'll catch you guys later this week. I'll catch you next Sunday on the next live stream. Thank you guys.